And Gemma, thank you so much for coming on and talking about what's a sensitive issue, because I know that 2 years ago you were 25 stone.
Yeah, that's right.
And you look incredible now. I know you've lost an awful lot of weight. But just going back 2 years ago, what was life like then for you when you were really severely overweight?
I've always quite been fit and healthy anyway. I've always been active and take part in sports and things, but my dream was to have a baby, and the weight was the one thing that got in my way.
So tragically, you had 2 miscarriages, which you believe was down to health issues surrounding the fact that you were very overweight.
Basically told one of the largest factors for the miscarriages was my size, and that was my call to action, really, that I needed to do something, because my partner, Lee, and I really wanted a baby. So I needed to do something and change something.
And what was life like then? I mean, you must be far happier now, that's what everyone assumes. I mean, how did people react to you when you were that size?
Because I've always been the funny one, I've always been the joker, the person at the party that everybody wanted to be around. People have probably said things about me, but I've just let most of it go over my head. But even if someone says something, it does hurt. But I think now I probably blend in a little bit more, and people look and probably see more of my face than they do see some of the package that used to go with.
Well, you've had an incredible 2 years because you've lost a huge amount of weight. You've lost 7 stone, and you've had a lovely baby girl, Isabella, who's 14 months old. So it's all going very nicely. How did you lose the weight in the end?
So I did ask for help from my doctor, but unfortunately it wasn't available in my local area.
What did they say to you?
They offered me some form of medication. It wasn't what I wanted, because at the time I was trying to get pregnant, and there were side effects to that would I just didn't want to take those things, and I thought, right, I'm just going to take myself in control. So I started running. I used an app, Couch to 5K, and just started doing that, eating more healthy food more regularly. And then just my partner, my husband Lee, was really supportive. So he helped me all the way through that journey until I'd finally got pregnant. And then after I had my baby, I'd obviously put a little bit of baby weight on. So thought, my baby is my passion, and I want to make sure I'm here for as long as I can be.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Sorry.
And Carol, let's bring Carol into this chat now, because it's interesting, isn't it? Gemma went to her GP and said, look, I need some help, because she realised she wanted to change parts of her life. And you didn't really get that help, Gemma, did you?
No.
What do you think of that, Carol?
I'm actually quite surprised, but I think what it tells us is the help is probably very patchy in its provision, and that's true of a lot of our health service. But I know that where I work, the GPs and the practice nurses are really active in helping people lose weight, and we can prescribe exercise if need be.
And out of interest, how many of your patients would you say come and see you who have a weight problem, given that by 2050, half of us are going to be obese in this country?
I think of all the patients I see with symptoms, not the ones who come for checkups or well person checks, for the people I see with symptoms, almost all of them are overweight, some are underweight.
It's extraordinary,
And
isn't it?
I think probably at least a third would classify as obese.
And the National Obesity Forum say, this is as dangerous as smoking, and they want GPs to be far more proactive. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but it is very difficult to be proactive, because you're sitting in the consulting room, you're saying to someone as delicately as you can, so tell me what's happening with your weight, or tell me how you're coping with your weight. And you get a response like, I'm so sick of coming here. Every time I set foot in the surgery, somebody mentions my weight, I'm sick of it. And, faced with that sort of response from some people, what can you do to help? What's the way forward?
It's a difficult subject to broach. And actually, Gemma, to get your reaction, we've had quite a few messages on Facebook. This from Laura Munro says, we can't blame the doctors because they don't force food down people's throats. And I suppose that's not overly sympathetic, but do you think that that's maybe a general theme, that it's not really the doctor's responsibility, it's our individual responsibility to look after ourselves?
I think, unfortunately, there is a lot of inequity with nutritional information. If you read one thing one day, it tells you to eat this. If you read the next thing the day, it says, no, don't eat that at all. So you get mixed messages. And then if you do go to your doctor's surgery, and fantastic that you offer the services that you do, but countrywide those services aren't available to people in my position, and people who have got to a bigger size than myself as well, that have gone to our doctors and been offered medication, or we've been offered weight loss surgery. Weight loss surgery isn't the answer to everybody. We want nutritional information.
And interesting, actually, in our own investigations, there are very few charities or bodies out there to help people try and lose weight.
Well, that's very true, but I think...
But the government have done a big national campaign, haven't they? Is it working? working? What do you think?
I don't
if you
know
were
if
in
it's
charge,
working.
what would you
I
do?
think, well, if I knew what to do, I'd be a very rich and very successful woman. I think the fight against obesity has really got to be on many different fronts. The basic facts are really, really simple. If you eat less and burn more calories, you will lose weight. But really, how can we prevent people from becoming obese in the first place, and how can we best help them to lose
And
the
Gemma,
weight if they have put it on?
Briefly, your advice to people who are watching who maybe were in a similar or are in similar situations than you were, or what do you think
So
people should
if
do?
you're in the same position that I was in, there's a fantastic organisation that I'm part of now called Hoop UK. It's one of the only organisations in the UK that are there completely non-judgmental to help anybody, be they adults, children, family that are struggling with obesity. Look up the website, get in touch on Facebook. There's somebody there to help you and will point you in the right direction.
Okay.